Hello there, YouTube. Smokey coming at you. Twisted Up Seeds. How everyone doing today? Hopefully everybody's well. Putting out a quick video today, mostly for the new indoor grower. If you're going to be indoors, there's a few things you're going to need. You're going to need a place to grow, which is a tent. There are a million tents online. You can spend $500 on a tent. You can spend $60 on a tent. I am going to tell you, when I first started out doing this, it started out with a couple of 2x4s and a tarp and a bunch of CFL light bulbs when I first started doing this. We were breaking away from things like the metal halides and the high pressure sodium lights, the HPS lights. Those things pull tremendous amount of electricity, but at the same time they give you a tremendous amount of light. And now we're in new age. Now we're in 2023. We're in LEDs. LEDs are incredible. But you have to be careful with LEDs. When you buy LED lights, they give you those special sunglasses. I recommend that you wear them. Only because, these glasses that I'm wearing now, I think have something to do with, Old Smokey never took too many precautions in life. If it was dusty, who cared? You blew your nose when you were done. You turned on a light, you did what you had to do. But these LED lights today are very intense light. They do things to your plants that, a lot of people think are deficiencies. If you notice that your stems are turning purple, that could be a deficiency. That could be a deficiency of magnesium. It could be a deficiency of calcium. It could be any number of things. What I've come to find out, though, with these LED lights, like us, if we lay out on the beach all day, we get burned, and then we tan. And basically the plant's doing the same thing under the LED light. It's almost like the plant is getting a suntan. So the way I differentiate between a nutrient problem and a light problem is where is the stem or the leaf changing color to that red or that purple. I usually find it's on top, on the outside edges of the stem, and usually the top stem of a leaf. If it's only like you pull it up and you look underneath it and you see it's still nice and green, but the top has that purpley color, you're giving your plant a suntan basically. I've noticed I had an LED light hanging over my head the other day, trying to figure out how I was going to do this video, and while that light was over, my head was getting really hot, and I could almost feel like the hairs growing in my head, and I was like, this light's pretty damn intense. I better put a hat on. Option number 2 was get the light the hell out of the way, and I'm not a plant. I don't need LED light. I'm 5 foot tree. I'm not going to grow anymore. I'm 50 years old now. That's it. The growing stopped. It's midget from here on out. That's just the way it goes. So back to our tent. So we're gonna need the tent. We're gonna need a light. I got a light right here. This is I think they call it a Giixer, Giixer. I got this thing on YouTube. I think I paid $60 for it. It's let's see if I bring it down here so y'all can see it a little better. Here you go. Got 2 little fans in the top. They claim this puts out 1,000 watts, equivalent of 1,000 watt light. It might. It's pretty damn bright. I'll turn it on here. All right. I mean, you want to get a suntan. There you go. You just lay back, get your tin. Get your skin burning on. As you can see, these are very, very bright lights, and there's no way I could even look at that. My eyes were closed. I paid like $60 for this light on Amazon, and in something like a 30 by 30 tent that's only 6 foot tall, 72 inches, 56 inches, whatever it is, 58 inches, whatever it is. This is plenty of light for you to do a couple of plants in a 30 by 30 setup. you're new to this. And if you're new to this, I don't want you to spend a lot of money on doing an indoor grow. I mean, most cases, I'll be honest with you, most cases about $1,000 to set up a tent. Old Smoky's going to show you how to do it for like $300. What you're going to do is you're going to go to Amazon or you're going to go to Wish. You're new at this, so you want to buy something cheap. You don't need something that's going to last you forever. Even a tent that you buy at Wish that you might get for $50 or $60 might last you a good 2-3 years before it starts. Sometimes they get little pinholes in them. Sometimes your plants grow. If it's not a heavy fabric, they'll poke the sides. That's what we deal with. Once you start getting into the other tents, like the Gorilla Grow tents, things like that, tents that could run you, technically, $300-400 for a tent. Much better quality, gonna last you a lot longer. But like I say, you're new, so we want to do this cheap. You're gonna need several fans. You're gonna need a fan to bring air into your tent, whether it's from the room or if you have a way to draw air from outside into your tent. You're gonna need an exhaust fan so that when the plants are giving off their oxygen, because plants breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen, and we breathe in oxygen but we give off carbon dioxide. So if your tent happens to be in a room where you congregate or you hang out, it's in an office like me, I'm in here all day, I'm breathing, and just my breathing is enough CO2 to go into that intake fan and circle around in there, and the plants are loving it. They're taking in whatever CO2 I can give them. It might not be a lot. It only might be like 400 parts per million, ppm. Not a lot, but it's a little something to give them a kick. It's not really necessary to add CO2 to your tent. Once you get more experienced, and we can go down that line of, do you want to add CO2 to your tent? It does enhance the grow of your plants a little, but CO2 mechanisms can be kind of expensive. Smoky's going to show you an even cheaper way. If you have a safe way, and I mean a safe way, where you take a candle holder or even a bowl, and you put a candle, a tea light, 1 or 2 tea lights, and you keep them in a container, because it's fire. We don't want it. Not that the plants are in there being rambunctious and throwing crap around. They're not going to knock them over. Only you can knock them over. And if they're lit, you're gonna stay clear of them anyway. But what you do is you should take a couple of tea lights and you put them, in a glass, and you put them in a container to hold them, and you light those tea lights. Those tea lights are going to give off that carbon dioxide. It's going to give off quite a bit. Probably 2 tea lights in there would probably bring that thing up another 800 ppm. It works. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. And like I said, you're new. I'm going to show you the cheap ways of doing this. Like I said, I started with 2x4s at top and a couple of squirrely lights. Every time I saw a lamp on the side of the road, I'd take the lamp. I didn't want the lamp. I wanted the mechanism, the clicky thingy that the bulb goes into, at the outlet. What I did was I took a piece of plywood and I drilled about 20 holes in it, and I fed all of these things in there, and it looked like this big, scary NASA science project. And of course, they're all CFL bulbs. They don't pull a lot of energy, about 7 watts a piece on a 100-watt bulb. And I had about 20 of them in there. And that was my light. I used that for 2 years before I could really dial into what I needed to do. And then I said, you know what, Smoky, it's time for you to treat yourself to a real light. Get rid of the fire hazard. Because eventually you're going to burn your place down. If you're doing squirrely stuff. So I treated myself to a new light, and at that time LEDs were coming out, and that's when I found these lights. So I started buying these. I probably got about 6 of these, and I only really use one anymore. I've upgraded since then. I've gone to the VivoSun 2000 light, You can find that on the VivoSun website. I think it's a $250 light. Like I say, things will get out of control expensive if you let it get out of control and expensive. You know, the intake fans that I use are AC Infinity. My intake fan is $110 and comes with a little readout, and I can dial in my humidity levels, and I can dial in my temperature levels, and my exhaust fan. That's an AC Infinity fan. Also, that's a 4-inch fan. You can get duct fans at Home Depot for $20. The 4-inch silver duct fan. You can get them 4-inch, 6-inch, I think 8-inch, really whatever size you want. But we're discussing new grower and tent, and you're gonna start small. You're not gonna run out and buy yourself, an 8x10 tent, and I'm taking up this whole entire room and I'm gonna make it a tent. You want to do that? Knock your socks off. More power to you. At that point, I would just foil the walls and hang lights in there and call it a day. But whatever. That's how Smokey operates. The wheels are always turning. I'm always coming up with ideas. They're not always good ideas. Sometimes they're kind of dangerous ideas. And I really got to sit and think about them sometimes. That in a nutshell is really what you need. You need an intake fan, you need an exhaust fan, you need a light, and you need a tent. And you're pretty much set up and ready to go. All you got to do is get your seeds germinated, plant them in the soil, love them, water them. Don't over water your plants, whatever you do. I would rather you let them dry out a day in between your waterings. I do a flooding technique. So I flood my plants once a week. That's what I do. I keep all my pots in a container, and I load her up, and whatever comes out the bottom, she's going to sit in it, and she'll take it up as she needs it. Sorry, I just had a message come up that distracted me, and I apologize for that because I should have my notifications turned off. Where else are we going? Regular fans, like the little oscillating fans. All right. If you look at the, I believe on the YouTube channel in the community section, there's a picture down there of one of my students from last year. Very successful. He's doing very well with his grow. I'm actually probably going to be purchasing some seeds from him. So we're going to get some of his seeds on the website too. So that'll be a little bit down the road. He's experimenting with all kinds of stuff too. He's he's not a little right in the head like I am. Pardon me. But that's it. That's the simplicity of setting this thing up. I mean, the experienced guys, you can go buy an $800 light. You can go buy a $500 tent. You've been doing this long enough that you know that you like doing it, and you're going to spend the money on it. It's an investment for you. That's, more power to you. You do what you got to do. It killed me to spend $250 on a light, but you want to know something? Whew, what a difference it makes. I'm going to tell you, there is a difference. But as a new grower, you don't know if A, you're going to be successful at this. B, if you're getting aggravated by it, then it's not fun, and you're not going to want to do it. And it's a lot easier to shit can $300 worth of stuff than it is, $1,000 or $2,000 worth of stuff. The main point I'm trying to make here is, you're new, and we're not going to spend a lot of money to do this. So you could go to Home Depot to get your duct fans, and your duct work. They carry all of that stuff too. If you want to exhaust out a window, you want to exhaust through a wall, you want to bring the air through one wall and out another wall or window, however you want to set your configuration up. My configuration is my intake fan is sucking air from inside my house, and my exhaust fan is pushing it out a window. That's it. That's the simplicity of it. I got air turning in there. I also have a big 12-inch oscillating fan that I just hang, and I turn it on low, and it just moves the air around. That's what these plants like. They like that back and forth. That's how their stems get stronger, is that back and forth. Now, we've discussed the indoor grower and the fact that you need a tent. You need an exhaust fan. You need an intake fan. You might need an oscillating fan. You could even get the little 8-inch oscillating fans and put one on the floor in it. Just don't point it directly at your plant. Point it at the walls, at the side of the tent. It'll hit the tent. It'll circle around. Your intake's coming in. Your exhaust is going out. Your temperatures are staying in that, 75 to 85 degree range during the day. And then when your lights go out, because the lights do give off a little heat, that helps. And when the lights go out, the temperature probably come down about 10 degrees. Your humidity might go up. Humidity actually goes up at night in the dark. These plants transpire, what they've taken in during the day. They'll transpire that out at night while they're sleeping. So the humidity level might go up a little high at night. I don't let humidity levels dictate what I do too much. As long as I'm in a, 60-70% humidity, I'm happy with that. I've dealt with, being in the cold, you're fighting temperatures that, I got to keep the tent above 50 degrees. Well, how do you do that? Well, you know what? You might have to get a little ceramic heater if you're in the cold. You can put it on a timer, whatever it is. These days, you just set the temperature and they run. If your humidity levels, you find your humidity levels are down in the 20s and 30s, you could always get one of those little 12-inch tall humidifiers. You put one of those in there and you set the thing for 65, 75% humidity, whatever you want your humidity to be at. You set it and forget it. Smoky is all about automation. We get busy with our lives. You don't want to be locked into your plant every minute of the day. Sometimes things get real busy and, oh shit, I forgot the water. I got a little cure-all for that too. They sell these little battery, you can find them on Amazon, battery operated plant watering systems. Simple. They're $20, $30. You fill up a 5-gallon bucket of water, you put this thing on there with some batteries, you beep boop beep on the thing, and you set it up for, a 1-second watering, a 5-second watering, a 1-minute water, whatever, however big or small your plants are, will dictate how much water you're going to give. Now, if you notice that maybe you got 2 plants, all right, and you go through a half a quart of water between 2 plants, you would just set that thing up for like a 3-second burp. And you might set it up for twice a day. So twice a day, it's going to 1, 2, 3, and it's watered, and it shuts off. And then second time in the day, 1, 2, 3, and it shuts off. You're not overwatering your plant. You're not underwatering your plant. It works out pretty good for me. These plants can really dictate your life. I mean, you got a grow going, and all of a sudden you're in a flower stage, and everybody starts calling you up. Oh, we're going down to Miami to party for a week. Well, what are you going to do? You can't leave your plants for a week. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care who your best buddy is in the world, and you know who your best friend is, because when you call him to get rid of the body, he don't ask no questions. I'm only kidding. But you know what I mean. It doesn't matter who you ask to go over and water your plants and take care of your plants. They're not going to do it the way you do it. They're not going to notice the things that you notice. When you look at your plant every day and all of a sudden you see a leaf starting to turn yellow, you're wondering, why is that leaf turning yellow? Well, your buddy might go over there and just be watering and be like, look at all these yellow leaves. That's pretty cool. And not say anything to you about it, so now you don't know. And then when you come home, you're like, oh, you're pulling your hair out. You're like, what the hell did you do? Well, all I did was water. Why did you tell me the leaves were turning yellow? Well, I thought they were supposed to do that. So trying to put somebody in charge of your plants, just get it right out of your head. Unless you're like partnered with someone where you guys do this every day, or girls do this every day, or whatever. Unless you have a tag team like that where both parties or all parties involved know what's going on, then you can get away with saying, hey, I'm taking off to Miami for a week, take care of the plants. But, automation. Automation is the way to go. Time is for your lights. A heater that you can set, a dehumidifier that you could set. My exhaust and intake fan run 24/7. I just turn them on low, and I just let them run. And I got my water bucket that waters my plants, and I'm done. I don't have to think about it. Maybe a week from now, I'm gonna have to, change the time on the old timer there for the water, because maybe 3 seconds was good for last week, but maybe I need 5 seconds this week. I know I'm covering a lot. I'm rambling. I'm jumping all over the place. I told you guys I'd get a video out. But those are the things that you have to think about when you're committing yourself to doing a grow like this. The other thing I want to put out there is when people hear cannabis plant, they get all fidgety. Oh, I don't know how to do that. If you know how to grow a tomato plant, you can grow a cannabis plant. I'm going to tell you, way back in the day, you couldn't just run to any corner store and be like, hey, my white widow is doing this, and the guy would say, oh, you need this, this, and this. And you'd mix that thing up and you'd do what you had to do, and the plant got the nutrients it needs. Back in the day, you had to go to the garden school and you had to say to the guy, I got these tomato plants growing, and one whole stem on one side is turning bright yellow and I can't figure out why. And he tells you, oh, it's this deficiency or it's that deficiency, and he'd give you A, B, and C. And you'd go home and you'd fix the problem. Because it's roughly, it's the same thing. It's they're I guess what you call in the nightshade family. I'm not going to get technical with all of that BS. It's a nightshade. And cannabis and tomato plants actually kind of fall into the same deal. They need that change in time to fruit. They develop the same type of deficiencies as far as magnesium and nitrogen and calcium and all kinds of stuff like that. So don't get weird when someone says, oh, you should grow your own. Listen, there's a lot of information on the interwebs today. There's too much information sometimes out there. It could drive you nuts. You could watch this guy, and this guy says, oh, I do this, this, and this, and then you watch this guy, and he says, well, there's guys out there that do this, this, and this, but I do this, this, and this, which is, I'm doing the same thing, except I'm trying to keep it on a simplified level for everybody. I want everybody to enjoy this. I want everybody to have fun with this. My customers out there, thank you all very much. I appreciate every one of you. Everybody gets a little something. I always try to throw an extra seed or something in everybody's direction, kind of like a thank you. It's my way of saying good luck to you. Here's another one in case one doesn't work out. You got your backup. Your two didn't work out. You got your backup. But whatever. Easy? No. But at the same time, yes. The whole grow itself can be as torturous as you want it to be. It could be as easy as you want it to be. If you want to be that person that you come home at 4 o'clock from work every day, and at 4:30 you're going to go in your room and you're going to water your plants, and that's the way you like to do it every day, and you want to sit out there and talk to them for 3-4 hours and just look at them and pick through them and do what you want. If that's you, more power to you. If you find yourself, I'm pretty busy. I'm happy to say. Old Smokey was, getting a little cabin fever there for a while, and we found something to take off the edge. So, things are going well for Smokey, and that's thanks to all of you, and that allows me to be able to, I got my system automated so that I don't have to constantly be worrying what's going on in there. Plus, for me, it's a little bit of a buzz. You don't look at your plants for 3 or 4 days, and you don't know what you're going to open up to. I mean, sometimes, I got a little plant growing in there, and then 3 or 4 days later, I open it up and go, holy crap, look at you. She's nice, big, and beautiful, and she's got, 8 sets of leaves on her. She's nice and green, and you know what I say? I love you, honey. I'm going to just leave you alone and do what you got to do, and I zip up the old tent, and it might be 3 or 4 more days before I look at them. But, when you don't look at them every day, that's when you see those growth spurts. And to me, that's fun. I enjoy that, it's a little bit of a thrill, I mean, I could open that thing up and find everybody all flopped over and dead, but that's part of the rush. It's how long can I keep life going here? If I treat them right, they'll treat me right, and that's pretty much it. So make it as simple as you want, or as complicated as you want. Like I said, you're not going to spend a lot of money. I don't want you to spend a lot of money on getting set up for your first time. Quality of a wish tent is probably, it's not the best quality in the world, but like I say, I get 2-3 years out of one, for $60. My big 4x4, that's a different story. That's I paid a good chunk of change for that. I paid about $300 for that tent, and it's got a $250 light in it. It's got a $110 exhaust fan, and it's got a $100 intake fan, and I probably got $20 worth of oscillating fans in there, and that one's kind of a indoor-outdoor thing. So I have a dehumidifier in there, I have a heater in there, I got the automatic water going in there, and this is where it gets complicated for me. I got to heat the place, but then I can't exhaust the place. So now I have to have my fan set up on a timer, so that maybe every 3 or 4 hours I let it kick the exhaust out for about 15-20 minutes, and then that shuts off. And of course, the heater's got to kick back on because I've exhausted all the heat out. So then the heater kicks back on, and everything else is still going and doing what it's got to do, and the water's still going, and the intake's still coming in. But I had to think ahead. If I'm going to heat the place, I can't exhaust the place, but I can exhaust it a little bit at a time during the day, and then, like I say, it's a 4x4. It's not a huge area. Fortunately, it's not a big cost effect to do that. That's the only big problem with your indoor grows. Your electric bill is going to go up, whether you're using LEDs or not. The LED, this light here, this puts out, like I say, it uses about 100 watts of power. They claim it puts out 1,000 watt of light. Like I say, it's pretty damn bright for only 110 watt. But you could run, 3 of these in your tent. Your electric bill might move, $5-6 during the month. Then you get into the bigger ones, it's, then, you get into the bigger lights, more lights, you start buying $800 lights, they take up a whole 4x4. I mean, they're beautiful. The light intensity is incredible. But those are going to be one of your drawbacks with being indoor. Your other drawback to being indoor is if you don't exhaust your tent, you're not going to need air fresheners in your house, because you're going to have a built-in air freshener, and it's called cannabis. And if you enjoy that smell and you love coming in your house every day, and oh wow, it smells great in here, that's fine. But you don't want, you got family coming over, you don't want everyone sitting around in a house that just smells like cannabis. So those are the major drawbacks. That's really the only drawbacks to being indoor is your electric bill. We could talk a little bit about outdoor. I personally, I've done some outdoor grows. It's very tough for me where I am. I only get about 96 days of summer, and that the spring summer span is only about 96 days where I am. So if I'm outside, I have to do something like an autoflower. An autoflower is gonna grow and flower when it's ready to flower. It doesn't need a light change. It doesn't need, 18 hours of light during the day, and it doesn't need 12/12 during the flower stage. For those of you who are new, let me revert back. If you're using lights, you want to give your lights 18 hours of light every day. You can give them 17 hours of light, you can give them 16 hours of light. I wouldn't go below 16. 18 hours on, 6 hours off. That's going to be your vegetative state. That's when the plant is going to grow. And then you can decide when you want the plant to flower. In order for you to flower that plant, you now have to change your timers on your lights to 12 hours on and 12 hours off. I've experimented with 11 hours on and 13 hours off. And I have not noticed much of a difference in doing that. You're running your light one less hour. You really no reflection in the electric bill. As far as the growth goes, I don't really think it sped anything up. I don't think it slowed anything down. I think they just they did their own thing. So that's how you would trigger the plants. Outside, we have the winter and summer solstice, which is the shortest day of the year and the longest day of the year. Now, if you put your plants out, say in May, say you can put your plants outside in May. I probably won't get outside until June 1st if I want to go outside June 1st, because you need your night temperatures really to be above 50 degrees. All right. Night temperatures above 50 degrees, and you want, warmer days. So if it's above 50 at night, of course, you'll be 60, 70, 80 during the day. I mean, that's beautiful weather right there. So I can't go out until June 1st, but say you go out in May, all right? You get your plants outside in May. They're still on that short cycle. The days are still, 1 or 2 minutes. It's getting longer every day, which is great. That plant's going through its nice vegetative state. It's doing everything it's got to do. Then we get to June 1st, okay? I believe it's June 1st. When we get to June 1st, I believe that's the longest. I gotta double check my dates on this. But when we have the longest day of the year, when you have the most sunshine for that day, that's like your last day of vegetative growth, I guess. Kinda, sorta. I mean, they're still gonna grow in a vegetative state, but you're only losing 1 or 2 minutes of light every day, so it's real gradual. That plant actually won't start, even though we're getting into the days are getting shorter now. Even though we're getting into that, the plant hasn't actually flowered until it reaches that 12/12 cycle. Now, if you look at your calendars, go on a computer, pull up your area, and you can see sunrise and sunset, and you see all the different, how it changes every day, a few minutes every day, however it is. Outdoors, you don't actually need 12/12, because none of us really hit 12/12. I mean, we get close to it, but it's in like December when we start getting to that, and of course way too cold to be outside. So Old Smoky's indoor. That's what I do. Outside, what happens is when you get to about 14 hours of light a day, that plant will trigger and say, oh, wow, 14 hours of light. It's time to go to sleep. And they'll actually go to sleep 2 hours before the light goes away. And even though it's 14 hours of dark, even though it's a 14-hour light cycle, the plant still sees it as a 12/12. Don't understand the science of it. I'm just telling you what I've learned. So basically, a 14-hour day, the plant shuts off about 2 hours early and triggers itself for flower. It's a beautiful thing. Drawbacks to being outside. If you live in an area where you get a lot of straight line thunderstorms, throughout the summer, you're going to be ripping your hair out, because every time you come home, your plants are going to be bent and broken. If they're bent, that's okay. They'll bring themselves right back up. But if they break, they're just going to continue growing from where they broke. And if you catch it in time, you might be able to root whatever broke off. Straight line thunderstorms, not good for being outside. Tornadoes, definitely not good for being outside. I talked about humidity levels. If you live in a place like Colorado, I hear Colorado is very dry. They got a 25% humidity. I don't know what you do about that outdoor. Indoor, I could tell you, 25% humidity, put a humidifier in there, dial up, tucker up to 60, 65, 70, 75, whatever you want your humidity, and let it go. Outside, I don't know how to control that humidity. So thunderstorms, tornadoes, downpours, you might get a super intense heat. I would imagine if you live in a place like Arizona, I hear temperatures in Arizona get to 120 degrees, but it's a dry heat. I don't care, it's freaking hot. A place like that, you might want to build a little something outside that's just got like a canvas cover over it, just so that that heat isn't just beating down on your plants all day, because that turns into watering like crazy, trying to keep everybody happy. I've never, like I say, I've never actually had the opportunity to do a lot of growing outside. I got a very short season, unfortunately for me. But you know what? This is the life I chose. Ideal conditions. I mean, you're gonna run into unideal conditions everywhere. Down in Florida, you got super high humidity. You guys know what I'm talking about. You go outside, you got to take a breath, and you go back inside to the air conditioning to try and take another breath, get your lungs back, because it'll just suck the air right out of you. High humidity outside. I wish I could tell you how to control that. That's something that that's what's great about the interwebs. You can go on and look on something like that on the interwebs. In a nutshell, I think indoor is better. You can't go and grow a 12 by 12 monster plant. You see those videos. See those videos of guys out there in California or whatever, and they got these big giant trees growing out there. You can't do that in a tent. You're limited to basically half the height of your tent. If your tent is 7 foot tall, okay, and you let your plant veg until it gets 3 feet tall, when that plant finishes out, it could be about 6 foot tall, and you'll only have about a foot of space in your tent with your light up there, and you're going to be bending branches down trying to get everything away from the light so you don't burn nothing. So your rule of thumb is when the plant gets to the height that you like, say it's 1 foot, all right? The plant gets to be a foot tall, and you go, that's it, I'm flipping my lights. That plant will probably go another foot and a half before it finishes out. You get a pretty decent yield off of one plant like that. In a 30 by 30, you can probably get away with 2 or 3 plants like that in a 30-30. Because they don't mind being close together. They really don't seem to mind it at all. I at one point, I think I had 6 in a 30 by 30. And my other tent was down. I wasn't, I was in the middle of things and whatnot. But yeah, I had 6 of them in there. They were crowded in there good. And I had to do some leaf thinning to make sure I got my light down into my canopy. But we got through it, and I did what I had to do. But if you let it go 2 feet, it'll probably go 4, maybe 5 feet. You let it go 3 feet, probably go 6, maybe 7 feet. You can start inside. Like me. You got a short season, you can start inside 3 months before you go outside, and just let that thing veg in your tent. Before you know it, you're bringing a 4 or 5 foot plant outside. That should be able to handle some of your battles that you're going to come up against, because it's going to be a big, strong plant. You can't just, put your seedling outside and say, all right, little girl, do what you got to do, because, the first rainstorm that comes, you're going to flatten her right out. They don't like being smushed and buried in the mud. So make sure you got some substantial growth on your plants before you put them outside. Same thing with like the tomato plants. You go to Home Depot, you buy a tomato plant. It's it's that big, and you plant it in the ground. You put a stake there so it doesn't get bent over. But that's just recommendations. Like I said, the gears are turning, things are happening. This is all live and in color, people. I don't do none of this editing crap. So bear with me. Make fun of the way I talk. Like my hat. Yeah, I'm a man of many hats. Hats and shoes. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a sickness. But anyway, so being outside, all I have to say is good luck to you, and you're a better person than I'll ever be, because, like I say, I got the short season, and it becomes a pain in the ass with the bugs. We got black fly season. Like down in Florida, you got June bug season. We got black fly season. Black fly season comes after mosquito season. Oh yeah, it's a real thrill sometimes to be out in the woods. It's nice and pretty, yeah, and then your face is this big because you got bit by some kind of prehistoric mosquito or something or whatever it is. You're walking around black spots all over your face. You're smacking your face all day from the black flies. Those things will drive you nuts too. So bugs, trichromes are sticky. Bug gets in there, dies in there. You dry it out, do all your things with it, and next thing you know, you're smoking bugs. Which is another thing I'm going to talk about. Washing. If you happen to be at that stage where you're getting ready to cut your crop down, enjoy the fruits of your labor, wash your plants. You can actually wash your plants. If you take a tote and fill it up with water, and for every gallon of water that you put in there, put a quarter of a cup of hydrogen peroxide. I believe it's the 70% stuff. It's not, super strong. A quarter of a cup for every gallon. And then what you would do is you could either take the whole plant, if you got like a garbage can you're using, or pieces of the plant. You can actually rinse them in that bucket, shake it around real good in there, and then you'll dip that into a bucket of fresh water and do the same thing. And then you have a third bucket with plain water in it, and that's your final rinse, and you do that, and you hang them up, and you let them dry, and you'll have clean greens. And you'll look back at your buckets as you go through, and you'll see gnats, little flies, whatever, bugs, stuff that might have fallen out of the trees, pieces of leaf, whatever. You'll see the junk in there. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. Doing that takes the heck out of anything. Even when you have cultivars that have a high myrcene level in it. Myrcene is a chemical that can be produced in the plant, and it's actually an expectorant. I'm telling you, people, it's medicine. I don't understand why we go to pharmaceutical stuff all the time here. There's myrcene in that plant, so that's why you hack. It's either dirty or it's a high level of myrcene. And the myrcene in there, like I say, is an expectorant. It's like taking Robitussin. When you're clogged up, you take the Robitussin and then you start hacking, and you hack up all that crap that you got building up in your lungs. Myrcene is the same thing. It's an expectorant, and that's why you cough. And it's actually good, because you notice sometimes when you cough, sometimes you might whatever, you bring a little something up. We're human. I'm not hiding anything from anybody. We all go through the same things, We all get sick. We all got, whatever bathroom problem. Everyone's been through it. So, it's, people talk, I don't talk about it. It's embarrassing. Hey, you know what? The fact of life. We're humans. The poor dog was pinched up the other day, and there's nothing I could do for the guy, I felt bad for him. But, we all go through it. We all have these problems. So when I say, that you're going to be coughing stuff up, yeah, it happens. No big deal. So yeah, myrcene is located in some of these plants, and sometimes it's a higher level, and because it's a higher level, that's why you're gonna hack. So you learned something new with that today. So I feel like the train is rolling. How are you doing, handsome boy? Why don't you come here and say hi to everybody? Everybody, this is Riley. Yes, this is my boy. This is my best buddy in the whole world. Say hi to everyone. Yeah. Yes, you're such a good boy. I love you so much. Yes, we were just talking about you. We were just talking about your boom boom problem the other day. Yes, I know. I put it out there. Yes, I did. Mwah. Okay, I gotta put you down now. Okay, we'll finish this up. We're gonna finish this up. How are we gonna finish this up? What should we talk about to finish it up? We talked about being outside. We talked about the problems with being outside. Although one good thing about being outside is the sun is free. Unless of course you don't have it for a week, there's another problem. We talked about inside. We talked about exhaust fans and intake fans and oscillating fans, and if we need humidifiers and if we need heaters, and if we want to add candles for CO2, which isn't necessary, but if it's something you want to try, knock your socks off. Oh, recharge. That's what I wanted to talk about. This recharge. I mentioned this recharge to everybody in the last video. I get this through realgrowers.com. I believe he's on Amazon too. You can get like 5 of these sample packs. I think it's like $20 or something. I water with this once a week. Once a week I add, and like I say, if you're not filling up a whole gallon jug, a gallon jug of water and 1/4 of a teaspoon in that gallon of water. But if you're not up to that point yet, you can just, like we did in the last video, you do a little tippy tap, give yourself a nice little coating on top. Doesn't need a tremendous amount. These are microbes. These are going to help your soil. These are going to help your roots. They actually get like a little, I'll see if I can get a picture of it one of these days when I'm doing a transplant. You'll see, like with that taproot that came out. If you use this recharge, that taproot actually gets like a fuzz on it, and that's the microbes working that taproot, and that all of a sudden the little fuzzies, roots start just coming out everywhere on that thing. You got that taproot, and bang, she just takes off. So once a week I use this. Like I say, you get a 5-pack of this. I think it's, don't quote me. It might be $15, maybe $20. You get like a 5-pack of these. He's got the bigger bags, $30, $40, $50 bags, whatever they are. Once a week I use it. This is what I water with. My regular well water, which I don't have to boil because it's alkaline. It's 7.0. Do I check my soil? I did it once. In my, whenever I move to a place, I'll check the water. And if the water comes out of there, it's 7.0, I'm not worried about it. I dump it in the recharge in there, and I dump it in my soil, and at 7.0 all of a sudden becomes about 6.5, 6.3, so that the soil itself, knocks that water down. There's acid in the soils, so that knocks it down. Again, if you're on public water, I would recommend boiling your water, let it sit for 24 hours, let the garbage come out of it, and water with a fresher water. Chlorine in the water is not good for your plants. So we covered the recharge, we covered the tent stuff, and I guess all I have to say from here is thank you for bearing with me as long as you have. If you made it through this whole video, congratulations. Thank you again to everybody with all the kind comments, all the kind words, the reviews at the shop. You got me in the heart, people. You really do. You really got me in the heart. Smokey was down for a while. You brought me back. So, thank you to everybody. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about me. Go check out the shop. This week, we're gonna hopefully have some new stuff coming up. I got the digital photos. If you put in digital 420, they're half price. A $10 picture costs you $5. I got a couple right here that I printed up. I got him on the YouTube site. This is the Purple Buddha. Had it blown up to 18 by 24. Nice little score for someone if you're growing Purple Buddha and you'd like to have a Purple Buddha growing in your house, or maybe even if maybe you're doing the old Scooby snacks. I don't know. Kind of hard to see these without the light, but if we turn on the old, there we go. We turn on the old LED. She came out pretty nice. So stop over the shop. Check out the digital photos. Like I said, digital 420 gets you half off on them. No, I am not giving away seeds with pictures. I'm not doing it. I tried it. It didn't work out. I'm not going to mention names, but the person that had bought them actually thought he was getting 3 seeds for every picture he bought. Not happening. We're not doing that. If I communicate with somebody and they ask me something like, oh, do I get seeds if I buy a picture? If I decide yes or no at that time, because I'm not setting anything in stone, if I'm in a jovial mood that day and I feel like I can help somebody out by throwing them a couple extra seeds, yeah, maybe I'll throw you 3 seeds for a picture, but it's not going to be of the picture. It would be the equivalent of what the price of the picture is. So if you bought a $5 picture, you get a $5 seed. Yeah, whatever. Like I say, it's not something I'm doing. I got some. All my customers are great. I got a couple that are a little more into shopping than others. And of course, the more you buy, the more I try and help you out a little bit. But that's it. I'm rambling. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about me, check out the shop, enjoy life, have fun with this, and yeah, happy growing. Love yous all. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, blooper time. How do I close this? Mama. Okay. Yeah, it ain't easy. Here we go. Oh.